Hey, good afternoon. It is Friday, the 3rd of October, and this will be probably the first of two updates that I try and provide on the development of Storm Amy, which is now rapidly approaching the UK. And we can see that if we look at the satellite imagery from the Meteosat satellite. So this is looking a very ominous looking satellite picture here. We've got this huge area of cloud now coming in across the UK. The development, the storm Amy is somewhere in here to the west-northwest of Ireland. And we can see this broad developing thick cloud to the northwest, which will be the essentially the wraparound occlusion. And we've got the cold front and warm front developing over the UK. And if we look at the radar, we can see this huge area of rain now coming in across Scotland, in across northern England, starting to come in across Wales and the southwest of England, a huge area of rain to the northwest. And if we look at the satellite imagery, the air mass imagery, this shows us that this storm is in a very developmental phase now. So we've got the broad upper trough that we've talked about all through the week. We've got that lying northeast to southwest. That's shown here in this red area on the satellite picture. We've got this, the green is the kind of moist tropical maritime air mass which has streamed all the way from Bermuda in association with the former ex-hurricanes Umberto and Imelda, and we've got the jet stream which lies above this, cutting through to essentially the area of low pressure now emerging. You can essentially see the area of low pressure emerging in here on the left or to the cold side or to the left exit region of the jet stream, and the jet stream is around 200 to 205 miles an hour, so it's a very, very strong jet stream up there at the moment. And that jet, and as the low moves into the left exit region, it is going to deepen explosively as we go through this afternoon, and it's going to track across the southern part of the Outer Hebrides in towards western Scotland and then up towards the Northern Isles. So the model's now pretty much all in agreement on the track of that area of low pressure, or the track of Storm Amy, and it is looking likely it's going to follow the very, very consistent European artificial intelligence, the AIFS model, which has been very impressive to me, I have to say, over the course of the last few days. It has not wavered or moved on its initial track really since kind of Monday or Tuesday, which is phenomenal consistency for that model, and should be highly noted that it has performed so well in terms of the track. So we can see on here we've got the telltale signs of rapid cyclogenesis here. We've got the developing cloud head to the northwest of the jet. We've got the baroclinic leaf, or the tropical maritime air in here. We've got the development. You can just see in here what's eventually going to become the kind of sting in the tail, or the probable or possible sting jet, or the tropospheric fold that's going to come down as that area of low pressure deepens so quickly. What effectively happens is, through the latent heat release at the top, it pushes down the tropospheric, the top of the troposphere, which is the tropopause. Essentially, it will push that down. And if you think of the atmospheric column like a big tin of baked beans, essentially, and you squash the top of it through your foot, or you put your pressure on it, you essentially squeeze down that tin. The air that is in that tin is forced to move very rapidly outwards. So essentially, that's what's going to happen across parts of just to the north of Northern Ireland and into western Scotland. You're going to get that squeeze on that amount of air, and that's going to increase the winds, particularly in this western part of Scotland and to the north of Ireland. So it is looking like we are going to see some very strong winds and probable gusts of around 100 miles an hour as we go through the end of this afternoon in through this evening. We can look at the surface observations, or we can look at the analysis. This was taken at 12 o'clock local time, so you can see the low is situated to the north or west-northwest of Belmullet in Ireland. Pressure falling there at about 14.1 millibars, the last observation I looked at. So pretty quick. That would certainly classify as falling very rapidly. 14.1 millibars in 3 hours in the northwest of Ireland. And pressure probably slightly below expectations there at the moment. So if we look at the winds and the what we've got across Ireland at the moment, we've got 979 millibars at Belmullet at 12 o'clock BST. If you look at the background observations from the UKV, it was expecting pressure to be slightly higher than that. So at 11 o'clock we've got 981 millibars around there. So it's about 3 millibars or 2 millibars below expectation. So it's not hugely significant, but it either signifies that the centre of the low is developing closer to northwestern Ireland, or it's slightly deeper than expectations. So we need to be mindful of that as we move the low pressure centre and track the forecast. We need to keep in mind the observations from northwestern Ireland and from this part of southwestern Scotland, so the Isle of Mull up through towards the inner and outer Hebrides. We need to keep a very close eye on observations there to see whether the low is in fact deeper than expectations or moving on a slightly more southerly track. So that's something we need to keep a close eye on through the afternoon. Other than that, the model guidance along the lines of the Met Office warning. So this is the current warning from the Met Office, and we saw the whoops. If we get Friday up, here we go, which is a bit of a smorgasbord of warnings, but essentially we've got the amber wind warnings, the ones mainly to be concerned about, now covering slightly more of the northwestern part of Scotland. So they have extended the warning just to the east of the Great Glen, and remember, as I spoke about last night, I think that area there is the area that we need to watch, particularly this area of Western Scotland coming into the west of Glasgow, but now also including northern and western parts of Northern Ireland. So they're now also under an amber warning of wind. And if we look at the latest 0600 UKV, which is pretty good guidance. As we said, we've just compared the pressure at Belmullet, so it's doing pretty well. Just a couple of millibars too shallow at that point, but we can see the gust. And actually, if we look at the gusts coming into Belmullet, we've got 54, 59 miles an hour at Belmullet and Mace Head at 12 o'clock. We haven't got that. I haven't seen the 1 o'clock observations yet. But in essence, they look around correct. So we should see relatively good confidence in the area of low pressure and the gusts as we go through the afternoon. So if we run the sequence, we've got 80 mile an hour gusts coming in around 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then coming very close to Northern Ireland. So we've got good call for the amber warning now. We're going to have 65 to 75 mile an hour gusts potentially coming in across the northwestern part of Northern Ireland, and just offshore around the northern coast of Donegal we've got 85 mile an hour close to Malin Head, and these other coastal areas of northwestern Ireland. And then the really strong winds coming in across Tiree and across the inner Hebrides, in across western Highland and western Strathclyde through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. Gusts of 95 to over 100 miles an hour possible on these western extremities. And over the mountains there will be extreme gusts of well over 100, 110, probably even higher miles an hour. So very, very severe conditions on the uplands on the higher highlands through the afternoon and through this evening. Storm Amy looks like the centre of the depression, or the centre of the storm, is going to cross the southern Hebrides and then across probably close to northwestern Highlands, Scotland. Still a little bit of uncertainty as whether the storm will cross the outer Hebrides or cross the northwestern part of the mainland, and that will make a difference to the strongest winds, whether they come in around here like the UKV is showing, or whether they come in slightly further south, which I wouldn't be at all surprised about, given the background pressure at Belmullet was slightly below expectations at 11 o'clock. Also very gusty conditions we can see developing across the Irish Sea down into parts of North Wales. And if we run the sequence further, we can see the strongest winds going across in the northwest of Scotland, again largely to the west in the warning area that the Met Office has highlighted, but we do see some very strong winds coming in across the Irish Sea, and also coming into the Bristol Channel, where we've got gusts above 60 miles an hour coming in through tomorrow morning. So it does look very blustery indeed through there. Gusts up to 70 miles an hour through the Cheshire Gap in towards northwestern England, and also the Met Office have now extended the yellow warning for the whole of England and Wales. So we've got a yellow warning of wind for tomorrow across the whole of the UK. So do bear in mind if you're out and about tomorrow that the yellow warning of wind has now been extended across the whole of the country. So very blustery conditions through tomorrow out and about. The winds do eventually subside as we go through the latter part of tomorrow, but it does look like being a very blustery day, and you can see even through tomorrow afternoon we've still got winds gusting 75 miles an hour plus across northern Scotland. So very, very blustery conditions indeed in there. If we have a quick look at the Met Office ensemble, so this is from MOGREPS. If we look at tonight, we can see the model's in pretty good agreement. So we've got the storm coming in somewhere close to the Hebrides. All of the solutions very much in agreement, and we've got it. We're just varying on the wind gusts, whether we see and that will depend on the shape of the depression as it comes in, and that's very difficult to forecast more than a few hours ahead. So and whether we do in fact see that sting jet, that tropospheric fold pushing those wind gusts right the way up to around 95 to over 100 miles an hour. At the moment, it probably looks likely that is going to happen. I would say it's more likely than not that we are going to see some kind of sting jet or some kind of tropospheric fold come down. The imagery looks very developmental at the moment, and I've been looking at these for a long time. So the imagery looks very developmental at the moment. We're seeing the classic telltale signs that we're going to see a tropospheric fold forming there on the southwestern side of the low pressure center, and that is going to push there is going to be a period of very strong winds on the southern flank of that depression or storm as it comes in across western Scotland this afternoon. So that is just about it from me for now. If you are in western Scotland and northern parts of Northern Ireland, do take the warning seriously, and I will be back early this evening for another brief update of Storm Amy. Until that, enjoy your afternoon. Thanks.